Have you ever wished for like a shortcut, a way to get truly well informed about the things that actually matter day to day?
Yeah, not just the big complex issues, but the everyday stuff, actions, mindsets, what makes us feel successful, confident, connected.
Well, today you're getting pretty much just that.
And the sources we've got for this deep dive, they're really interesting. It's a collection of insights on navigating life, skills for everyday success, packed with personal stories, actual dialogues, and some incredibly practical advice, stuff that genuinely comes up for everyone.
So our mission for you listening is to pull out the absolute best nuggets of knowledge from all this. Think of it as a toolkit for living smarter.
Hopefully with a few surprising facts, maybe a bit of humor to keep it engaging.
Exactly. We want to show you how small changes in approaching the everyday can lead to those big aha moments, a more peaceful, productive life. Okay, so first up, decisions. Sometimes even tiny choices feel huge, right?
They really can. But the way we approach them, that can make all the difference.
Yeah. How do we actually get good at making thoughtful decisions, especially when you're stuck facing a dilemma?
It often comes down to perspective, doesn't it? Like when you feel pulled between two options that both seem okay or even necessary.
We found a great personal story on this. Someone really wanted a bicycle, for exercise. Good goal.
Right. Healthy.
But the kitchen sink was leaking. And getting a plumber, well, that costs money.
Ah, the classic dilemma. Self-care versus home repair, both important.
Totally. It felt like this big choice. But her husband, David, just suggested waiting a few weeks.
Simple advice. What happened?
Well, 2 weeks later, she stumbled upon a used bike, half price. And they got the sink fixed too.
See, it's not just about being patient, though. That's part of it. It's about figuring out what's truly urgent versus just important. Sometimes a pause lets better options surface.
That's a perfect example. And we also saw dialogue. Sarah wrestling with a job offer. More money, which is tempting.
Always is.
But it was much further away. Less time with family. Big trade-off.
So what was the advice there?
Her friend Daniel just asked her to think, what matters more right now, money or family time?
Cuts right to the heart of it.
It really does. It boils down to your core values. If you know what you prioritize, those tough calls get, a bit clearer. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What if? What if every time something went wrong, it was actually a hidden opportunity?
That's a powerful reframe. And it's something you have to consciously choose to do, right? It doesn't always feel natural.
It's definitely not.
It's about changing how you see the setback. Not as I failed, but as, okay, what can I learn here?
We saw a really relatable example. Baking bread, someone's first attempt, disaster. Hard as a rock, they said.
Here, didn't there?
Because the dough didn't rise long enough. Obvious mistake in hindsight, maybe. But the takeaway wasn't just leave it longer. It was a lesson in patience and care.
Exactly. That mistake taught the why behind the step, not just the what. More valuable than just following a recipe blindly.
And this applies at work too, right? Like Anna, who sent the wrong report. Mortifying moment.
Easily done.
But her colleague James just said, that happens. The important thing is you learned from it. Next time, double check.
That's good colleagueship. It acknowledges the mistake, but focuses on the learning and the future fix. It's about refining your process.
And then there are bigger failures. Paul failed his driving test. Twice.
Ouch. That stings.
But Rebecca shared her story. Failed online business. Realized she knew nothing about marketing.
So, did she give up?
No, that's the point. She took a course, learned, tried again, and succeeded. Her advice was gold. Look at failure as a lesson, not a defeat.
And she also said something about writing it down.
Yeah, write down what went wrong. That act of reflection, that's what turns a stumble into a stepping stone.
Absolutely, making it concrete.
Okay, let's talk about change. It happens to all of us, ready or not. But how we adapt, that really defines the experience.
It does. And what's fascinating from the sources is how small things, acts of kindness, a proactive mindset, can make overwhelming change feel manageable, even lead to belonging.
Yeah, finding your footing. There was this story about moving from a small town to a huge city.
Oh, that can be jarring.
Totally. Feeling lost, overwhelmed, got on the wrong bus, carrying heavy bags, too nervous to even ask for directions. Classic stuff.
Been there too.
But then a neighbor, Mr. Harris, just kindly helped with the bags, showed a shortcut. Small thing, huge impact.
A little bit of human connection.
Exactly. And finding a friendly local grocery store, a park nearby, joining an English conversation group. Little by little, the huge, scary city started to feel like home. It wasn't one big fix. It was lots of small steps.
And we saw that echoed in a dialogue, too. David felt lost after moving. Laura's advice.
Set small goals, like try one new place each week. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask.
Right. Embrace the unknown a bit.
And she said, slow progress is still progress. Which is so important to remember when you feel like you're flailing. It's about building momentum, step by manageable step.
That proactive approach is key.
Okay, shifting again slightly. Kindness and honesty. Sounds simple, maybe even a bit quaint, but they have such a powerful ripple effect.
They really do. And it's worth thinking about how these small actions build our own character and trust in ourselves, not just how others see us.
That's a great point. When you act with integrity, you reinforce your own values.
Yeah, sources had loads of examples, didn't they?
Yeah, really simple things. Helping an elderly neighbor, Mrs. Helen, with her groceries, picking up a wallet someone dropped in a busy shop.
Just basic decency, but it matters.
And remember that dialogue between Henry and Grace? Someone paid for Henry's coffee anonymously.
Yes, the pay it forward idea.
It made his day. And it highlights how one small act can genuinely spread good vibes. A chain reaction.
And honesty works the same way, building that foundation of trust, even when it's slightly inconvenient for you.
Like the guy who got too much change back at the store and went back to return it.
Or finding a phone on a park bench and making the effort to return it. Takes time, takes effort.
And Ethan, who noticed the cashier missed an item, he could have just walked away, saved a few bucks.
But he went back.
He went back. And as Rachel pointed out in their chat, small, honest actions build your character. It shows reliability to others and, importantly, to yourself.
It's about who you choose to be in those small moments.
So true. Okay, let's tackle misunderstandings. Oh, the stress they cause.
Unnecessary stress, usually. Friction that could often be avoided. But there is a way to clear the air.
Yeah, before things spiral.
It's about stopping assumptions in their tracks. Because once they take root, they can really damage relationships. Open, calm communication is the antidote.
We saw that play out in a story about coworkers. Sarah thought her colleague was ignoring her messages, started feeling friction.
Uh-oh. Easy assumption to make in the digital age.
Turns out, the file she sent went straight to the spam folder. Simple technical glitch.
So easily resolved if they just talked.
Exactly. They checked, apologized, talked directly. The lesson, clarify, ask. Don't assume malice or neglect.
And Michael and Emma had a similar issue with a team project message. Michael was sick, missed it entirely. Emma jumped to conclusions.
Understandable maybe, but unhelpful.
Right. Their solution was key. Next time something feels off, talk in person, or at least have a direct call.
Get that nuance back.
Yeah.
Tone of voice, body language, things text often loses.
Precisely. It heads off future misunderstandings.
So if you pull all these threads together, kindness, honesty, clear communication, it leads to this idea of connection, right?
Yeah.
Showing up for each other.
Especially when things get tough. That deep sense of belonging often comes from mutual support.
It's really powerful, isn't it? How practical support, or sometimes just being there, can make such a difference.
It strengthens bonds like little else. We heard that incredibly moving story about someone helping their brother after he lost his job.
Yeah, that wasn't just let me know if you need anything. It was tangible.
Bringing groceries, helping update his resume, watching the kids during interviews. Real practical help.
And the brother found a new, better job. He said that support gave him the strength to keep going.
That's support in action. And Sophia and John discussed something similar with John's sister losing her job.
They helped with groceries, childcare.
And reminded her, crucially, everyone needs help sometimes. It's okay to receive it.
Yeah, removing the stigma. They emphasize that family support matters, and just showing you care makes people feel stronger. It's that quiet power of community, of family.
Connection in action.
Okay, another aspect of connection. Respecting differences.
Mm-hmm.
We meet different people constantly. How do we build bridges, not walls?
Especially when backgrounds or habits are really different from our own.
The key seems to be active listening and genuinely trying to understand, even if you don't agree. Curiosity over judgment.
We heard about a neighbor, Mr. Thompson, much older, different background entirely, gardener versus reader, early bird versus night owl.
Total opposites on the surface.
And then conflict potential. His dog dug a hole in the speaker's yard. Easy flashpoint.
Could have easily led to shouting.
But instead, the speaker spoke kindly. Asked about his gardening. Opened a door.
And it led to a friendship. Sharing tips, helping each other out. The differences became interesting. not divisive.
That's the ideal outcome. And Liam struggled with a coworker, a different food, spoke quietly, felt awkward.
Yeah, easy to just avoid that person.
But he learned to ask questions instead of making assumptions, just simple curiosity. And it led to a friendly connection.
Grace's advice in that dialogue was spot on. Listen, understand. Respect doesn't mean agreement.
Exactly. You don't have to adopt their views, but you can acknowledge and value their perspective. It's about coexistence and maybe even mutual learning.
Right. Okay, let's switch to mastering our inner game. Starting with time. It's maybe our most valuable resource, isn't it? Mastering it changes everything.
Absolutely. And what's really striking from the sources is how simple habits can give you control. Rather than feeling like time controls you, it's about being proactive.
There was that great tip learned from a friend, Maria. Write a to-do list every morning, just 5 things.
Man.
And crucially, do the hardest one first. Get it out of the way. Leads to less wasted time, finishing earlier. Feels good.
Eat the frog, as they say.
Pretty much. And another person shared their routine. Wake at 6:30, tea, read 1 page of a book, then plan the day. Creates a peaceful, productive start.
Those routines anchor you. And Leah, in that dialogue with Omar, she writes tasks the night before.
Smart. Gets it out of her head.
And leaves an hour free each day for unexpected things. Builds in flexibility.
And for prioritizing, Mark's advice was simple. List tasks, order by importance, focus on the top ones, don't get bogged down in the minor stuff first.
Basic, but so often ignored. And avoiding distractions. Jean and Lisa talked about turning off phones, finding quiet spaces. Michael used headphones. Simple tactics, big impact.
Yeah, reclaiming focus. It's a constant battle, isn't it?
It really is.
Now, this one sounds kind of backward, but sometimes the best way to get more done is to do less. Let's talk rest.
It's so crucial. Active rest, strategic breaks. They aren't luxuries. They're vital for sustained focus and, frankly, better quality work. It's about effectiveness, not just effort.
There was that cautionary tale, right? Someone worked constantly, no breaks. Ended up dizzy at the doctor's.
Burnout, a hard lesson.
The solution: proper rest on weekends, short walks during the day, turning off the phone after dinner, simple boundaries.
And the result: better work, better health. Proof that pushing through exhaustion just doesn't work long term.
And another person actively scheduled 5-minute breaks every hour. Stretch, drink water, just breathe, help them stay calm and focused.
Micro rests, very effective. And Sophie looked refreshed because she prioritized sleep, ditched the phone before bed. Inspired Tariq to try it.
Little things again. Emma and Jack also found that short 5-10-minute breaks every hour were key for long study sessions.
These resets really add up. It's not about stopping work, it's about working smarter.
Okay, confidence. It doesn't just magically appear, does it? It's more like a seed. Needs time, care, practice.
Exactly. So the question becomes, how do you show up when you feel unsure? How do you actually cultivate that confidence? The sources suggest it's all about small, consistent steps. Action first.
We heard that story about someone incredibly shy as a child. Froze during a presentation.
Painful memory for many people.
But a teacher, Mr. Parker, was amazing. Encouraged tiny steps. Read 1 sentence aloud. Share 1 opinion in a small group.
Building blocks.
Gradually, they volunteered to speak for a team. Years later, became a teacher themselves. And their insight was key. Confidence doesn't mean being perfect. It means showing up even when you feel unsure.
It's about courage, not absence of fear, taking that first step.
And Stephen felt shy in meetings. Natalie's advice: start small. Ask 1 question per meeting, then maybe give short updates.
Incremental progress.
She nailed it when she said, confidence doesn't come before you act. It comes after you take the step. Feedback helped her too.
Yeah, external validation can help, but the internal shift comes from doing the thing.
Like the person learning English in a new country, afraid to speak. But a kind shopkeeper helped them point at bread, gave them a little confidence boost.
A small positive interaction.
So they started speaking just a little every day. Making mistakes, sure, but practicing. And they improved. It's that consistent, imperfect action.
Peter was nervous too, but Lucy's advice was similar. Start small, daily practice at the store, in the park. And crucially, she reassured him, most people don't laugh. They're happy you're trying.
Lowering the stakes. It's a journey.
Definitely.
Okay, now for something that really ties a lot of this together, maybe the ultimate life skill hack, especially for language and thinking clearly. What if the secret isn't just speaking more English, but actually thinking in English?
This is fascinating. Cognitive agility, Basically training your brain to process thoughts directly in the language without that mental translation step.
Right. It sounds intense, but the idea is it transforms your comfort and fluency. You're training your brain like a muscle, even when you're silent.
It's a silent, powerful practice, the core idea. Start that internal dialogue in English the moment you wake up.
Not out loud necessarily, just in your head.
Exactly. Simple thoughts. I'm awake now. Time to get ready. I feel a bit tired, but I want to start the day strong. Real-life sentences running through your mind.
Starts the training immediately. We heard about Michael, the receptionist.
Yes, he practiced this during his workday, thinking things like, the office is empty now, or I will clean the desk.
Silent practice.
And it trained his brain so when customers came, speaking felt more natural. The source put it perfectly. Thinking in English is like training a muscle. Do it every day, it gets stronger.
Or even simpler, just describe your surroundings as you walk somewhere. Short sentences in your head. Sky is cloudy. Man on a bicycle. See a dog.
You're building vocabulary from life itself, making the language real, not just academic.
Lisa, the teacher, used nightly reflection, thinking about her day in English before sleep. Taught students about numbers. One student gave me a flower.
That's speaking in silence, like the source said, integrating the language into your personal thoughts. Very powerful.
You can even run mini conversations in your head, right? Like planning what you might say to a coworker.
Yeah, good morning, John. How are you? I'm feeling good. Slept well. It primes your brain for the real thing, makes interactions smoother.
Asking yourself questions in English. What should I eat? Thinking through tasks. I need to answer that email soon. These tiny thoughts create big shifts over time.
And it applies to any job. Peter the electrician thinking, be careful, hold the wire. Anna the housekeeper thinking, making the bed, this pillow is soft. Internal running commentary.
Crucial advice, though. Don't get stuck if you forget a word.
Absolutely key. Don't stop the thought process. Use the words you do know. Speak simply. If you can't think of engine, just think, the car is not working.
Your brain will fill the gaps later. Keep the flow going.
Momentum over perfection.
And here's a challenge for you listening, a way to start today. After any small task, just say one sentence to yourself in English about it. Like after washing your hands, think, I washed my hands. Finished eating. I finished eating. Quick, easy, but it builds the habit.
Those moments add up fast. Great practical tip.
So, wow, we've covered a lot today. From making decisions, learning from setbacks, connecting with others, all the way to the power of just thinking in English.
And it's clear these aren't just separate tips, are they? They're interconnected skills. They build on each other.
Yeah, creating a more capable, more confident you.
And the relevance of really digging into this, I think, is huge. It's about giving you practical wisdom. Highlighting how conscious practice, whether it's managing time or internalizing language, really does fundamentally change your daily experience.
It's about gaining a sense of mastery over the everyday stuff.
Precisely.
So here's a final thought for you to mull over. What small everyday habit, maybe one we've talked about, could you start practicing today? Not just to learn that one skill, but to truly master the art of navigating life with a bit more ease, more confidence, maybe more peace of mind.
The journey starts with one step.
Or perhaps, as we just discussed, with just a single thought,